Happy Wednesday, everybody. Let's do a quick market update starting with Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin CME futures. Let's go to 1 hour chart and you can see we have another gap here. So let's quickly go with marking gaps first to start the day. And you can see another gap around 39,380. So this gap will fill also maybe tomorrow or day after. Let's see. Ethereum also we had a gap here. You can see this gap was here. This was created on Tuesday and then today we came back to fill this gap, and even in today we had a gap up, and you can see by the end of the day Ethereum came back to fill the gap. So there are no gaps right now on Ethereum, so you can delete it. But there's one gap at the top around 2484, so that will be filled at some point. I just don't know when, so just be mindful of that. All right, so let's quickly scan through some major indices and do a gap analysis before we go and review other stuff. So let's see. So triple Q is a gap here. This gap should be filled tomorrow, 423. Let's quickly look at S&P 500 SPY ETF. Let me quickly scan through that. Here you go. So SPY had a gap. You can see it gapped up and came back to fill this gap. So we can delete this. So you can see how nicely gaps are filled. Dow Jones, no gaps here. IWM. Now there was a gap here. It was filled yesterday, this gap here, and then today we are now coming back to fill this gap. Looks like tomorrow going to be a down day. 192, keep an eye on that. Tesla major gap down, so I think it's going to open with a big gap. Bad earnings, bad earnings. So I have nothing else to say right now for Tesla. CNQ, there was this gap. They filled this gap. So let's quickly scan through major stocks, and then we're going to do a daily analysis. Gold miners, you can see gap up. Now trying to fill this gap. Still, this is not filled. Tomorrow it's going to be filled. And the next target is going to be 27.14 for the next gap fill. Quickly look at bigger stock. Apple, this gap is here, 191. It will be filled one day. Netflix, massive gap up after earnings. Amazon, still gap is still not filled. Meta, there's also a gap here. And this is Microsoft, still gap here. Google, another gap here. So let's mark it here. This gap, all right. NVDA, let me zoom in. Yeah, slight gap here, so we can mark it here. That's fine. AVGO also had another gap up. All these semis are just like going up like a rocket. I don't know when it's gonna stop. Snowflakes had this gap. They came and filled this gap, so you can delete this from yesterday. AMD also another gap up. Okay, so like it's like gaps everywhere. Unbelievable. Semis are pushing higher and higher, and Intel is not pushing higher for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so let's quickly go back to Bitcoin. Let's go to daily chart and let's review Bitcoin. So you can see multiple gaps here. We did get a buy signal, this green dot on this indicator. However, I don't know. Let me add Lux Algo here and see if it tells me anything. Let me go to indicator, signals and overlay. Let's see. And still did not give me a buy signal yet. All right. So let's see if it's gonna let me change a setting and see if it gives me something else. If I turn NeoCloud and go to 1 and then autopilot sensitivity short term, still do not do anything. All right, so anyhow, let me hide it for now. Okay, so one thing to note, even if we're getting a bounce, but this bounce should fail, okay? And just remember there are multiple gaps here. I want to see divergence. I want to see new, so it's going to be, so most likely what I think might happen, this is speculation, a little bit bounce and then come back to fill these gaps, all right? So that's what I'm expecting on Bitcoin. And then when that happens, there should be divergence. What I want to see is something like this, price going lower, RSI going higher. So that's what I want to see, all right? Ethereum, same thing. Now the gap is up all the way here. So it is quite possible we can go all the way up and then come back, or we can fail here and then come to fill this gap, okay? So regardless how we go, this 1850 gap will be filled at one point. VIX, let's go to 1 hour chart. You can see VIX bounce after filling this gap, exactly where I was telling everybody. If you watched my episode yesterday, same thing I was telling. So good news, VIX is filled for VIX trader. And let's go back to daily chart. I think VIX is getting ready for a bounce. There are no gaps to the downside, and also it's following this trend line very nicely. So tomorrow could be a massive down day for stock market. So just be mindful of that. And you can see it's following nice trend. Okay, now VIX is making higher high, higher lows. So I think it could bounce to get ready to fill the 16.83 gap. So be mindful of that. Let's go to S&P 500. Let me find where it went. SPX, SPY is here. So you can see now, I was expecting this bounce to fail. Maybe it's already failed right now. Let's see if we're going to get this pullback. At minimum, we should fill this gap very soon tomorrow, and then we can even go lower. Okay, so we can even chop around here and then eventually go lower. That's what I'm expecting to happen till Feb. All right. Triple Q, same thing. Looking for this now. There's a gap up again. Looking for this gap to fail eventually and then come back, fill a couple of these gaps. So let's see if that can happen. Dow Jones, same thing. Looking for this to chop around and then fail eventually. IWM looks like it wants to fill this gap now. It filled out the top gap, so that thing has happened. So I think now it wants to go down and fill this gap. All right. If that gap fills, then let's see if it bounces. If not, then it might be coming down to fill this gap around 169.59. Tesla very bad earnings, and uh, if I go to extended hours, let me go to 1 hour chart. I think it's going to around 195s. So here you go, 195. Very very bearish. No divergence. Really bad bad pressure here on the stock. So if I think it wants to go to here, this is next support around 195, 194. So I think it's going down, opening with a big gap down. So let's see if they can find some buyers here. If that doesn't hold, then we're coming to 160s and 145s. Okay, but it's like you can see this straight up. Are we gonna go straight down like this, straight up? Because we could not go all the way down. So are we gonna go straight down? If we do, then 760 is the next support. Okay, I don't know. It's just a speculation. We'll see how that goes on. All right. Uh, Oil, nice breakout. Just trying to keep going higher and higher. At this point, let's add the moving averages. Here you go. You can see it's above all moving averages except 200 EMA and SMA, which is dark blue line and light blue line. So let's see if it can support here and then bounce here. Gold also below. Now below all moving averages, but still not impulsive blow. Okay, so if it recovers here tomorrow, that will be very good. Still very close to support. So really want gold to go above this tomorrow, above 2018. Okay, if this doesn't hold, then it might come all the way down to 1963. That's the next major support. Silver, nice move. So you can see it's holding this trend line very nicely. Couple of days ago had a breakdown and recovered it fully, so very nice. So I think silver is getting ready for next move higher. Dollar came all the way down, found support and bounced, and still flagging. So I think dollar, if it can hold, if stock market is going to go down, what VIX is telling, then dollar should go up. All right, and that's going to be bearish for gold and Bitcoin. Natural gas fill this gap nicely. Okay, so I can delete it, and I think it should fail now. All right, so it should fail now, and it should go lower or maybe equal lows until mid-Feb. That's what I'm expecting. Already covered Bitcoin, Toronto Stock Exchange, 1 hour chart, fill this gap. You can see gap always filled. So let's go back to daily. Now the next gap is around 2927. All right. Hang Seng Index trying its best to close, but I won't be bullish until we close above this downward trending line. So is it going to fail here? If it keeps going higher, that's news. I want to see it close above this downward line. Now it's facing resistance on this white line, which is 20 moving average. If it fails here, it could make a new low. Okay, so be careful on China. Okay, let's see what else is here. All right, let's go to gold miners, GDX, and you can see, oh wow, what a sell-off. Wow, it opened up. Look at this, unbelievable. Unbelievable sell-off on gold miners. Okay, so let's go back to extend regular trading hours, try to find gaps here and hide these moving averages. And you can see this was a gap down and yesterday was a gap up. And today we filled this gap and then massive rejection. Very bearish move here. And now next target is this 27.65 and then 27.14 are the next two targets. So I'll be looking to buy. Oh wow, this is like a massive rejection. I think it's coming here to 27.41. So that's going to be our next target to buy for me. So I can delete this trend line for now. It doesn't make any sense to have it. Apple, little bit of rejection. It could come to fill this gap around 191.81 before it bounced. Netflix gap up. I don't know when this gap will be filled, guys, to be honest. But one thing to note, this gap up happened on a lower divergence on lower highs on RSI. All right, you can see here we went higher, new highs with lower divergence, so chances are more that we will come back and fill this gap eventually. Amazon also gave everything away, gap up. Still, this gap is not filled around 150.56, so maybe it will fill that gap and then we'll bounce. Meta, maybe all these stocks will hold until earnings and then we'll see what happens. Meta multiple gaps to downside, divergences. So I think until earnings, which is coming probably end of January and 1st February. So again, I think these all stocks will hold, mega cap stocks. Google also gap up. All these should hold until earnings. NVDA just a beast, okay, it never stops. So just keep going higher. So just like a rocket. But the problem with this is if it's gonna go keep like this, it's gonna eventually come down. Okay, so be careful. If you're in profit, look to take profits. AVGO, same thing. All semiconductors are like just going up like a rocket. Snowflake's rejection here. I think it might be coming back to fill this gap around 193.18. All right. Okay, guys, that's it for today, and try to keep it quick and short. And I wish you all the best. And if you want me to review any particular stock, leave a comment below. Thank you. Bye.